Hello.
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 How's it going?
Good.
Pretty good.
Everybody awake?
I am now.
Wide awake.
Sid, let's get an update. Where do we stand on the existential crisis meter out of 100? Where are we sitting right now?
It's been a pretty good week, so I'm probably at like a 75.
A 75?
That's a
Okay.
good
And
week.
this movie didn't really bump you up that much?
It did, and it didn't in different ways.
So it balanced out.
Yeah, so
That's
I'm
fair.
like maybe like a few points above where I was before.
Okay. So you came in at a 71. Now we're sitting at a 75.
Came in at like a 71, and then the movie started and it bumped up to like 74, and then I spilled water all over myself and it bumped down to like 65, and then I saw that one shot of Ryan Gosling in the orange and it bumped it up to 75.
Oh, so seeing Ryan Gosling like that gave you an existential crisis?
Oh no.
I think you got the water and
It's
Ryan
all-
Gosling backwards.
It's all backwards, guys.
Okay. Because I was like, because then you should not look at Ryan Gosling and just spill water on yourself all the time. If that
Yeah. That'd be a terrible life to live, to not look at Ryan Gosling.
and
Yeah,
spill
no,
water all
thank
over
you.
yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, Ryan Gosling saved me today.
He
we
did.
have Ryan Gosling in two places.
As
in this
every
room.
day.
And now he's in a position where nearly all of us can stare at him for this entire episode.
Except for me. I have to turn my head.
Becca, can you move your head a little bit?
Can you catch the
thank
reflection in
you.
my glasses, guys?
Oh, I can see him on the screen, though.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we haven't pulled up. All right. Hello and welcome to episode 34 of We Watch Movies and Then Talk About Them, the only podcast on the internet where we watch a movie and then talk about it. My name is Andrew Westensgo. I am the host of this here podcast, joined at my right hand in life and in all things by Becca.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going very well.
Good. And at my left by Miss Yawny Face herself, Sid. I just saw you yawn.
I don't appreciate that.
Well,
I was the one that fell asleep.
People yawn, okay?
people do yawn. But here's the thing. If you start yawning, then it's going to be contagious to the rest of us. And it's just going to be a podcast of us yawning.
Well, now you're talking about yawning, and now I feel like I need to yawn again.
oh
Me
my
too.
gosh. You guys are the worst.
You
Sorry,
started it.
we like sleep and living and being a human.
Hey, that's really topical. You did such a good job, Sid.
Thank you.
You brought us back on track.
I did.
Guys, today we are talking about, well, we couldn't keep him away for long. We did one episode in between Denis Villeneuve movies. But we are continuing on my quest to cover all Denis Villeneuve movies on this podcast. So
It'll probably only take another month.
probably we just have a rival and enemy left, and I could literally watch either of those right now.
Well, they're always an option every week. We always
I
pull them.
always pull them.
Yeah, and I pushed it in because I said, we just did a Denis Villeneuve.
And then she
I
picked
said,
Blade Runner.
Let's do Blade Runner.
So, people, we're talking today about Blade Runner 2049. We were going to do a twofer, not a twofer, but like a 2-week thing and do Blade Runner, and then next week do Blade Runner 2049. But the real truth of the matter is, we just really wanted to watch Blade Runner 2049 today, and that hardly ever happens. So I decided to take advantage and watch it because I will watch this movie any day.
This is a big moment for Andrew.
This is a huge moment for me, guys. I'm so excited.
We have, or he has, or one of us has mentioned Blade Runner 2049 on almost every episode since we started.
It's all been leading up to this.
I wanted it to be some like momentous episode, be like episode 50 or 100 or whatever, 34. That's what we get. So episode 34 is our new special one. Because we did Tree of Life for episode 10, right? Or was it 15 or 20? I don't know.
Something.
It was some special one was Tree of Life. And just from the outset, people, in case you didn't know, the jury is still out, but the two movies in contention for my favorite movie of all time are Blade Runner 2049 and Tree of Life. So I like this movie just a little bit. We are going to be going into full-on spoilerific territory. If you have not seen this movie, you should watch the original, but you should also watch this one because it's very good. And if you watch the original, full disclaimer, excuse me, watch the final cut. Do not watch the director's cut. Do not watch the theatrical cut. Watch the final cut. You can find it usually in like the $5 bin at Walmart. That's where I found my copy. Felt really good. So watch that and then watch this, but be aware it is 2 hours and 45 minutes long. You're going to want to cut out a big swath of time for it. But yeah. Before we get into the spoilers, just so you guys know what it's about, Blade Runner 2049 stars Ana de Armas's absolutely perfect messy bun. Really, the fact that the makeup and hairstyling in this didn't win an Oscar is just a travesty because of that messy bun alone. I gotta say. It also involves Ryan Gosling. And he is a Blade Runner. Blade Runners are police officers that hunt down replicants, which are robots that look like humans, so much so that they are indistinguishable from them. But they're dangerous because they are super strong and can rebel against humanity and try and destroy us. So, Blade Runners hunt them down, and Ryan Gosling goes on a tour of self-discovery. And that's where I'm going to leave that description. If that didn't get you intrigued, then you have no taste in movies, and I don't want to be your friend. Blade Runner 2049, directed by Denis Villeneuve, won 2 Oscars, should have won. How many categories are there?
Let's just say it should have won 49.
It should have won 49 Oscars.
Should have won 2049 Oscars.
Smart.
Thanks.
All right, folks.
He's gonna make up those Oscars. 2049 of them.
I will.
Best-
Best Ryan Gosling. Best Harrison Ford. Best.
And the winner for Best Ryan Gosling is
Best messy bun.
Best fur-lined coat.
Best the naked holograms.
Best tree.
Yeah.
Best wooden
Best
horse.
statues.
Best statues. Best bees.
I was just gonna say that those
Yes.
bees do an incredible job.
Such a good performance
Best
from those
dog.
bees. Best
Best,
dog. The best boy.
Best.
He's not a good boy. He's the
Elvis
best boy.
hologram.
Ooh, nice. Best best color orange.
Yes.
And that's the biggest category of the night.
And finally, our last category, best color orange.
And it's just that one scene.
Yeah.
For like an hour.
Yeah.
That's all we watch.
Okay, so we're gonna get into this though, folks. I love this movie, and we're gonna see if my excitement is matched by my 2 co-hosts here. We can only hope so, and you guys can just hear us talk for an hour about how freaking amazing this movie is, or not. Maybe Sid's gonna hate it. Who knows?
Why am I the bad guy?
I don't know.
Well, just because you said that, I'm gonna hate it now.
I give Blade Runner 2049 a 1 out of 10.
Hated it. You know what's better than Blade Runner 2049?
Green Book.
Green Book.
Green Book should have won Best Color Orange. All right, folks. Before we kick it off here, we want to say thank you to all of you for joining us here. If you want to get in contact with us, because nobody listens to the end of podcasts, if you want to get in touch with us, you can email in at contact@wewatchpodcast.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at wewatchpodcast. It's facebook.com/wewatchpodcast. Instagram at wewatchpodcast. Email us contact@wewatchpodcast.com. And if you love us or don't, just go drop us a review on iTunes, whatever you feel is fair. If you think we're a 3-star podcast, give us those 3 stars. It's better than well, we have a couple reviews, but not enough. Push us up in those search results, people. Okay, format of the show. Here we go. We're going to do some hot takes. That's where we give a brief description of our overall feelings on the movie. We will then go into a more detailed description, and then we will have Sid present us with the best of IMDb movie trivia, after which we will all assign the movie a score out of 10, which will place it on the Weston scale, which is the definitive scale for ranking movies. After that, we'll get into other topics. We will tell you how long it is until Midsummer comes out, and we will go over other movies that we have watched in the past week. And that's how the show goes. Before we get into hot takes, though, because, Sid, you have not seen the original.
No.
And Becca, it's been a while.
Yes.
Do you guys have any questions about the film universe that were not clear that might help the discussion? If not, that's fine.
I think I'm good. We talked about it a bit before the movie.
Yeah,
so
I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here because it explains it fairly well, but I just want to make sure that we all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any questions now. They may come up later.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, then don't burn yourself on these hot takes. Becca, how hot is your hot take?
I think it's not as hot as you want it to be.
Is it not steamy?
I mean, it's better than it was when I first watched the movie. So
Is it as hot as two women's faces interpolated over each other?
I guess it depends on if you think that's really hot.
I mean, individually they're both hot. So then
Well, sure, but like together,
2 + 2
it's
is
like
4. You know what I mean?
a little bit weird.
How hot is your hot take?
It's all right. I'll just go for it. Okay.
Like a mild pace salsa in here. Jeez.
Okay, I really enjoyed this movie. The first time I watched it.
You really enjoyed it the first time you watched it?
No, you stopped me.
Oh, gee. Well, I'm sitting here. You're like, oh, yeah, it's all right. I really enjoyed this.
Well, if you would listen, I will tell you. I will get to why
I apologize.
it's
Continue.
not as hot as you want it to be. The first time I watched this movie, I really did not like it because Andrew didn't tell me how long it was going to be. And that was honestly one of the main reasons why I didn't like it. This time I knew how long it was going to be, so I was prepared, and I really did like it a lot more. But it is still very slow, especially the first half. Like I almost fell asleep like 3 times. And it's not because it's not good, it's just because it's slow and it's quiet and it takes a while to like really get going. So that's kind of what brought it down for me, is just that like it was kind of a long experience, but I enjoyed the movie a lot more than I did the first time. And especially the second half, I was like fully engaged in the second half. Like I almost wish it was 2 movies. I don't know how that would happen, but anyway, that's my hot take.
All right. So this was your virgin viewing, correct?
Yes.
What did you think? How hot is your hot take?
I feel like it's hotter than Becca's. So I really liked it. Like a little bit after it first came out, I tried to watch it just like on my computer, and like 20 minutes in I was like, I'm not in the right headspace for this. So I did really, really like it. The time really does wear on you. But thinking back to like what you're actually watching, I don't really feel like there's anything to cut out. There's definitely long scenes and it's just like of Ryan Gosling walking, but it's still gorgeous. And it's like, it doesn't do a whole lot for the story, like him just like walking, but it just, I don't know, it sets the tone for the movie and kind of the character of Kay and trying to figure this out. Yeah, I really, really liked it. I think I would like it more on a second viewing, but I'm still a really big fan of this one.
Yeah, we caught this a little bit late. I had seen the original when I was in high school and enjoyed it quite a bit. And I really like Ryan Gosling and I like Jared Leto. And so one day I was at Target, like right after it came out on Blu-ray, and I just kind of impulse bought it. Didn't know much about it. And we went home and watched it that night, and I was just floored, just blown away. And literally the next day, because it was still playing in the Dollar Theater. So literally the next day I found a showing at the Dollar Theater and went by myself, and it was me alone at the Dollar Theater watching Blade Runner like 6 months after it came out. But yeah, it was amazing. And I loved it. Actually, no, it wasn't 6 months. It was because my poster here says that it came out in October. So I probably saw it beginning of November. So it was like a month after it came out. Yeah, I don't know how much hotter my hot take can get. This movie just is the culmination of so many things. And I had an interesting conversation with somebody the other day. who was like raised on the original Blade Runner and basically sees this movie as heresy. Like it just, according to this person, just ruins the Blade Runner universe because it takes a lot of the ambiguity of the first one and makes it less ambiguous, I guess. And the ambiguity of the first one is what so many people love about it. I didn't really have that problem because I like the original wasn't like gospel for me when I first saw this. I've really come to love the original because of this one. So, yeah, there's really just not a thing about this movie that I dislike. I think the length is perfect, honestly, and it doesn't feel like almost 3 hours to me. Like
It does to me.
It did a little bit to me.
because it's just so freaking pretty.
Oh yeah.
It is.
You're not. I think probably the big thing for why this felt long is like it's been a long day for me and I kind of have a headache. So it was, if I felt 100%, I would be absolutely like enamored with this movie and I wouldn't be able to look away.
That's fair. Yeah, I just found myself like even more this time than any other time that I've watched it, just totally wrapped up in all of it and noticing new things. And I don't know, I'm just really excited to talk about this one.
Well, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it because that's what the podcast is. We just watched a movie and now we're going to talk about it. I don't know where to start. What do you guys want to start with? What was each of your favorite parts of the movie? Whether it be a scene or an aspect or whatever.
Oh, that's tough.
I mean, first off, like just the cinematography is amazing. And I know we can talk about that for forever, but throughout the movie, the music really started to stick out to me.
Yes.
It's like that scene where it was just like right before Ryan Gosling like went and attacked the replicant who had Decker, and just like kind of like the bullhorn just like drones.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Those huge synth swells.
Uh
Because that happens probably 4 times
yeah.
at different points.
And it just like, I don't know, it just like really struck me at that part, and I was just like, it's so good. It's totally kind of a cliche now, like with the bullhorn thing, especially like in trailers, but I am 100% here for it. I love it.
We're just spilling water today. Becca just dumped her water bottle all over the place.
Anyway, that was one of my favorite things. I honestly, I don't think there's anything that I could talk about that I didn't really like.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way. Like, it's just the length for me, that it's like slow and long, and that's not bad. It's just what you're gonna get with this movie.
Yeah.
And I guess that's still like something that I like have to get over. Like, I don't want to fall asleep in a movie, but I was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because I was bored. It's just because it was slow and long and quiet.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with the music. My favorite part was right when he enters the orange. Like right when it like turns orange and he's walking.
Oh, right when he
when
he gets to Vegas, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like that scene like can't be beat, I don't think.
For me, it's when Kay and Joy are heading out to the orphanage. And it's like a really hard cut to like a dam, and then the water starts spewing out, and it does one of those like, and that melody that the synths form is just incredible. And he's just like on a drive with his girlfriend, and it's really sweet. And yeah, I don't know. I've thought about this a lot over the last 10 minutes, but I think I come down on, I think my favorite part of this movie is Kay and Joy and their relationship. I think that it's really the engine of this movie. It's what keeps things moving forward, right? And not just the dialogue that they have with each other where she's like pushing him like, you're special, you're a real boy, you're Joe, whatever. Like, it's, I don't want to give my whole thesis on the Denis Villeneuve filmography, but I kind of have to give a little bit of background here. So, buckle up, folks. Denis Villeneuve is the best director working today, and that is an objective statement, and it's absolute fact. Find me somebody who is currently working right now who is making better films than Denis Villeneuve, and I will show you Denis Villeneuve films until you believe me. His entire filmography, his entire English filmography, I have not seen any of his French films, but his entire English filmography is all based around the idea of becoming the master of your domain, essentially, to borrow a Seinfeld quote. Essentially, like becoming the owner of your own life. He presents in each film different things that could chip away from our autonomy over our own lives. So like an enemy, it's other people. And in that one, it's specifically women for a man. But in any case, it's more abstractly about other people being able to control your life and therefore remove your autonomy. In Sicario, it is your own personal moral code, being the decider of what you consider to be moral and living by that and living with the consequences of that. Not allowing somebody else to decide for you what is moral and what is amoral. In Prisoners, it's fear. It's not being beholden to fear or letting it make your decisions for you. In Arrival, it is simultaneously time and consequence. Again, letting either of those things dictate your life for you. And then everything kind of comes to a head in this movie. Where it's literally just your own, I guess, self-awareness and making a conscious decision to be the controller of your own life. And that's kind of the journey that Kay goes on over the course of this film. Is he is a replicant, and he knows that. It's never a secret. He's treated like crap for it, and he just does what his boss says, and he goes out. And even at the beginning, when he's talking to Sapper Morton, and Sapper asks him, what's it like to hunt down your own kind? And he says, well, I don't hunt my own kind because my kind don't run. And basically separating himself even from these rebellious replicants. Like, he puts himself down really hard, and he makes the decision to be controlled by other people and by his circumstance, basically. Over the course of the film, he learns that there is a child that was born, had a replicant mother, and he becomes convinced that it's him. And he uses that information as a weapon to essentially take back his own life. When he finds out later that he is not the child, that he is just a replicant, that idea and that feeling of being in charge of his own life at that point just can't be taken from him. And he learns that he is the master of his domain because he says he is, and not because somebody else allowed him to be. And that is his journey of self-realization. And I feel like that's, like I said, kind of the head that all of Denis Villeneuve's films have been leading to up to this point, is that idea that these things control or don't control you because you do or do not let them. Essentially, that we as humans, as like self-aware and conscious beings, have the ability to take control of our own lives. And essentially, if we allow ourselves to be just controlled and have our actions, our morality, anything be dictated by outside circumstances, then we are slaves. And it's up to us to decide not to do that. So I think that that's this movie means so much more to me than just the movie, because I see it in the grander context of all of these other films that he's done, as well as standing on the shoulders of the original Blade Runner, which starts to ask that question. And this one like this movie answers the question that the first one asks.
And what I love about this one is that like we get to follow Kay, the replicant, and see like his life when he's not doing exactly what he's told. And that makes him feel more human to the audience as well, because like when he's at home on his own time, like he is making his own decisions.
Well, and he just wants a home life. Like he wants someone to come home to and someone to love him, and
and that's where
he seeks that out. He wants to feel human.
Like there's these interesting levels where we have like human and then replicant and then joy, and like
It was just pure AI.
yeah, and like joy to Kay is more than just AI. Like
Yeah.
to him, like she's real and she's maybe not human, but like conscious.
Well, I think that Her is kind of a companion film to this in a way.
I was actually just like during like the sex scene, I was like, oh, we should watch Her.
We should watch Her.
Great movie.
Her is really good because Her explores a little bit more explicitly that concept of like, can you have a genuine emotional connection with a computer, basically?
Yeah.
And I think that that movie and this movie come to similar conclusions in that, you know, if you feel it, then it's real. And he did, like, whether she was ones and zeros or not, like he was in love with her and she was in love with him.
And I think that helped him when he found out that he was real to like jumpstart that and take control of his own life. That like he saw joy and thought like she's real. She can take control of her life in a sense.
Yeah.
So I can too, kind of.
But I think that the movie kind of plays on that a little bit because the end conclusion is not that she is human.
Yeah.
Right? And what he realizes, because I honestly think, and it's not because of the boobies, but my favorite scene in the entire movie is when he sees the Joy hologram. Because that is his tipping point as a character, right? Mm-hmm. Because he sees her and then he sees the ad, and the ad is just flashing whatever you want to hear, whatever you want to see. Mm-hmm. Like he was so desperate for a human connection that he, I guess, kind of succumbed to that, and he let himself believe that, I guess, her feelings were genuine, but really it was just a reflection, right? She was whatever he wanted to hear and whatever he wanted to see.
Yeah.
And like in that moment, that's when the illusion is shattered for him, and he, I guess, realizes that he needs to start doing things of his own accord, right? Because even that, he was beholden to some expectation of what his life should be, right?
Yeah, I just think it's so interesting because there's only like 2 actual humans in the whole movie.
Who's that?
Well, there's like his boss.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wallace is human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't know for sure about Deckard, right?
We still don't know.
Yeah.
And
the first one left it open-ended, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it, right? Everybody else that we see besides like random people on the street that are treating him like crap, they're all replicants.
Yeah.
And like that's crazy from like an audience perspective. Like,
yeah, I didn't think about that.
They're all replicants. There's enough of them for a rebellion.
That's true. I will say before we move on from this topic, tied for my favorite scene though is, I guess you could call it the sex scene. They don't really have sex,
but it's incredible.
That one scene, I'm 100% confident won them that Oscar, because this movie won 2 Oscars. It won cinematography and best visual effects, and I'm 100% convinced because
that was really cool.
That scene is maybe the most spectacular thing I've seen on a screen in my life.
That was, oh my gosh,
and you just like can't take your eyes away. Like it's just
mesmerizing.
And like
it's just so Ryan Gosling's performance in that scene is incredible. Just like you can see the gears turning of like, what do I do here?
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess not to change the topic too much off of that, but if we're talking best Ryan Gosling moments, I think my favorite was when he found out that he was not the child. Like, especially like that whole scene, because it's basically just their silhouettes. Like, you can't really see their faces. Mm-hmm. And like just the way his body language just kind of drops, like it just says it all so perfectly. And like, that's like acting at the most perfection.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. This was a stacked year in the Oscars, but the fact that he didn't get nominated is a crime.
Yeah.
But
who we bumping out? Denzel.
bump out Denzel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you later, bud.
Nominated was Gary Oldman, Daniel Day-Lewis, Daniel Kaluuya, Denzel Washington, and Timothée Chalamet. We'll bump out Denzel. But I mean, here's the thing. It's the same reason that Daniel Day-Lewis didn't win, or Timothée Chalamet. Like, the Academy is a real big fan of people yelling and doing impersonations.
Yeah.
And even Daniel Kaluuya, like, all three of those in this one, in Ryan Gosling in this movie included, are all a lot subtler in how good they are. And it's a lot of body language and acting with the eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to finish up on that one, and then I do want to talk favorite Ryan Gosling moments, because I actually have a different one. I don't know, that scene where, like, I feel like that scene though is the beginning of his disconnect with Joy, as far as seeing her as real.
Yeah.
Because like the music, I think, tells a lot during that film, because the music is not like lovey-dovey. It's dark and it's kind of foreboding.
And yeah, I love the way, like, anytime there's like real touching or connection, it's not with Joy. Like she's like a half a second behind. Yeah, and he like grabs her hair and like you see it pull out, and it's like the blonde hair, not the brown, and like yeah. So good.
So good. Sid, what's your favorite Ryan Gosling moment?
I was just thinking.
I see you churning through the calculations over there.
I mean, all of them are great, obviously. I don't know. I would probably either agree with Becca or the scene where he finds the horse in the furnace.
That is really good.
And he's just like kind of like piecing things together, and like his hands are shaking, and like that was one of the scenes where I really noticed like how slowly he's walking,
because he's scared to death.
Yeah, he's scared. He's trying to figure out what's going on. Like he's not sure if this is real or not, and yeah, his hands are shaking, and like even before you see him crying, you can hear him crying.
Yeah.
And that was one scene that just like really stuck out to me.
I have a 3-way tie because I'm allowed to do that. Well, and two of them are the 2 baseline tests, which are just phenomenal. I don't know if this is in trivia or not. It probably is. He wrote those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ryan Gosling wrote the baseline tests.
Wow.
And it's taken from, when Joy asks him if he wants to read, and she pulls up that book. It's Pale Fire. It's like sitting on his desk. The baseline test is taken from that book.
Huh.
Not like word for word, but like the phrases are taken from that book.
I really loved the second baseline test when like he was just like behind, and you could tell he was off, but like not quite. And I don't know. Yeah. It was really good.
And then I do think my winner though is when he meets, what is her name? The girl that makes the memories.
That was one of my top 2.
Just that entire scene, and then when he just explodes, because like it's so like it's such conflicting emotions for him. Like he wants it to be true, but he also realizes what it being true means.
Well, and yeah, that moment of like being angry is a very human thing. Like a replicant wouldn't freak out like that, hopefully, unless they were angered by somebody else. But like that was like, I think, very human.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's such a, he's so conflicted, and you can see him run through all of it. And like, he's not even, you don't even see his eyes, like just like the way that he grabs his face, and his hands start shaking, and oh my gosh.
And like with watching this the second time and like knowing how it ends, I was paying more attention to her than him during that scene, and just the way she reacts is incredible.
Like, she's not crying because it's a sad memory. She's crying because
it's
her memory.
Yeah.
And the way that she phrases, like, someone lived this. Like,
and then just him, he's like, I know what's real.
Yeah.
So freaking good.
Yeah.
And yeah, just when he explodes and kicks the chair and walks out, like, that's got to be my favorite
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling moment. Another favorite moment of mine, and I feel like it sums up Decker's character really well, is when Ryan Gosling asks him if the dog is real, and he says, I don't know, why don't you ask him? Because that's just like, that's kind of Decker's, I guess, mentality at this point, right? Is like, who cares? They're real because they are real. Like,
Yeah.
just I don't know, I really like that line. One of the things I want to talk about a little bit, and I started noticing it even more this time, more than other times, is the color palette.
Oh.
And kind of the conflict between the orange and the blue, and how they use that in different scenes where essentially the orange representing the idea that like, he's not a real boy. Like, he's not a real person. He's just a slave. And the blue representing the idea that he is human and like conscious and all of that. There was a few times that I noticed it that I didn't other times. The lamps in his boss's office are the exact shade of orange that we see throughout the rest of the film. Yeah. And the first time that he goes to her office, after he takes out, I just lost his name, Sapper Morton. They're like overpowering. They're really bright. And then each time that he goes back after that, they get a little bit dimmer.
I did not catch
I
that.
didn't know.
Which is really cool, actually.
That's awesome.
And then again, essentially the entire Las Vegas scene being purely orange, I think that represents, like, that trip to Las Vegas is essentially the final hurdle for him, right? Like, if he's looking for answers, and this is the last obstacle in the way of him admitting to himself that he's human and that he has a soul, in his words, right? Because he says, according to him, to be born is to have a soul. And like, that's the what he's looking for there in Vegas is the last obstacle in his way of letting himself believe that. So that's why the whole thing is orange, because it's all like he's just surrounded by that idea, and it's keeping him down. And then finally at the end, one of the more obvious ones are the lights on the cars while they're fighting. Every time that it shows Love, she's backlit in orange, and every time that it shows Kay, he's backlit in blue. And then when Love is killed, then the orange sinks under the ocean, and it's just the blue light that's left.
Like, you saying that, I'm like remembering it and noticing it, but I totally didn't.
But it gets in your head, like your subconscious sees it, and then for the rest of the movie, it's just blue and white. Like, I guess it's just one more scene, really, but for the rest of the movie, it's just blue and white.
That's so cool.
It's really smart. It kind of
Yeah.
it makes the poster a little bit better, right? I don't have the poster pulled up, not the one that I have,
Oh, okay.
the main one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's orange and blue.
Yeah, it's orange and blue, and they're just such good shades of orange and
Oh
blue.
my gosh. That's why it won best shade of orange. Best orange.
Best orange. Yeah, it would have been a freaking travesty if anything else had won cinematography.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, like, we were hanging out, like, before the Oscars, and we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, like, I think Dunkirk is going to win best cinematography, and Andrew just, like, like, no, And I like hadn't even seen or like barely knew anything about Blade Runner, and I was wrong. I was very, very wrong.
I had great guesses that year. I think
You were on
almost all
fire.
my
You
guesses
even
were
called Best
right.
Picture.
Yeah.
I was pretty solid last year because last year did not suck.
2 years ago, you mean? Last year did suck. Or I guess this year.
This year's.
This year's sucked.
Anyway, 2019 Oscars wiped from everyone's memory. See you
2018
later.
Oscars were great, though.
Yep.
Apart from Gary Oldman, I feel like that was a bit of a gimme.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. He deserves an award, and he did really well in that. There were just better performances.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that Daniel Day-Lewis, Timothée Chalamet, and Ryan Gosling all did better than him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or at least impressed me more.
Yeah.
The only exception being, and this is a slight tangent on Darkest Hour, because you can see it if you want. It's a movie that nobody's talked about since it came out. There's one scene where they're in the war room discussing things, and Winston Churchill is making some decision that's going to cost people their lives or whatever. And he basically gets called out by one of the people in the room as like, you know, why do you get to make this call? Why do you blah, blah, blah. And he stands up and he slams the table and he's like, because I am the one who sits in this chair. And like basically lays out, he's like, I take responsibility for this and I know what that means. And you don't know what it's like to be on this side of the table. And I'm just like, ugh. It was just little like, also small side note on Darkest Hour, again, because we're probably never going to talk about this movie again. The cinematography in that movie is actually really astounding.
Yeah.
They do some really, really cool camera tricks. Specifically, there's one scene where Winston Churchill is in an elevator and the entire frame is dark except for
I was
this,
just thinking about
this little tiny light in the middle that he's standing in this elevator.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he is alone. Like, that's it. We're not talking about Darkest Hour because it's a fine movie and he does a good job.
Yeah.
There were just a lot better movies that year.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
There were some really good movies.
It was a really
that
good year. It was a really good year.
I missed 2017.
Can we have another 2017? This could be a really good year. We'll get to that later. But this could be a really good year.
It could be a good
There's
one.
a lot of really exciting
I'm
things
really,
happening.
really praying for it.
Yeah. Give it to us. Just don't give us another green book.
No. Ever.
Ever. So yeah. Like I said, I think I'm trying to think. I love the world that this film exists in. Like everything is just like a little bit quirky, but like it's like a world where somebody like Wallace could exist. Where he's just like so wildly eccentric and like blatantly evil that like
Well, and it just feels like stuck in the past a little bit.
well, it is because if you pay attention, Earth is the slums. Everybody who has any money has moved off world.
Yeah, and like
Earth is the
everyone
garbage
there
pile.
is replicants or like people who can't afford to leave Earth.
Yeah.
And so replicants aren't, I mean, for the most part, going to change culture
Yeah.
unless, like they are doing, they rise up and rebel.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it feels simultaneously futuristic and stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Which is a really impressive thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I think we watched Gravity earlier this week, and I had a similar feeling during this movie as I did during Gravity, in that I'm sitting here watching it and I'm like, this was a piece of paper once. Like, this started out just somebody writing this down. And Denis Villeneuve managed to take that piece of paper and make this. Like, this
Amazing.
is a movie that somebody made. Like, there were people behind this. It didn't just pop into existence. Like, it was an intense amount of work and decision making, and a lot of them are really ballsy decisions. He takes a lot of risks with this film, and I think that pretty much universally they pay off, honestly. But it's so impressive to watch something like this and to think, like, people made this on the planet Earth. And you see like the overhead shots of Los Angeles or going to Vegas or, seeing what became of San Diego, even like the outskirts of greater Los Angeles is what it's called, right? Like just the extent of the sprawl and the ships flying, and like it all feels so real. it's just an incredible feat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some movies that, like, while I'm watching them, like, it's just so good that I say to myself, like, I can't believe this is real, like, that I'm actually watching this. And also kind of along the same lines, a lot of time, like, when I read the trivia for just any movie, like, it'll say, like, the original idea was this and this and this. And it's because I'm not a very creative person, it's very hard for me to kind of wrap my brain around the writing process, where they can start out with this, like, it could have been, like, a really good movie, but then it, like, went through all these changes and different characters, different plot, and it turned into just this masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I just, it's so interesting to me, and I wish I could do it, but I can't. So I'll just enjoy other people's hard work.
Yeah, filmmaking is one of the more impressive things that a person can do, to me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, the role of a director just can't be understated. I mean, they're called the director for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like I don't have a lot more to say, because this movie does one thing and it does it so well. And so, like I said towards the end of my rant about the whole filmography of Denis Villeneuve, like, this movie means so much to me, not because it does a million different things or has a million different threads you can follow, but it takes this one idea of, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to have a soul? And it explores that one idea just kind of to its depths. And like I said, it rounds out the rest of his filmography up to this point. It almost feels like a capstone project of all of his other movies. And so, like, I could sit here and be like, oh, I really like this scene because of this, and I really like this character's performance because of that and this. But, like, it's just that everything comes together so well. Everything is done on such a high level that it just kind of feels a little pedantic to go through bit by bit and say, oh, I liked this, and I liked this, and I liked this, and I liked this. It's like, what this movie does is it gets inside of my head and pulls on my heartstrings, and it does what all good sci-fi does, which is explore the human condition and what it means to be human. And like, that's why it is so good to me, is that it's there's not a second wasted, and everything is just done to such a high degree. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I am starting, like, I feel like my criteria for a really great movie is a movie that leaves you sitting with something afterwards and keeps you thinking about it for days and weeks after. And whether I, like, love the movie or not, there are plenty that have done that, even plenty that I don't like that much.
Hereditary.
Yes, I knew you were going to say it. Anyway, and I think that Blade Runner 2049 does a really good job of that. Exactly like you said, like, asking that question, what does it mean to be human? But making you think about it way after you see the movie. Both that and just so many different aspects of the movie in general, just like scenes that we've mentioned and things that happen. Like, if a movie makes you think about it after, it's a good movie, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I also don't have a ton more to say about it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this would be, like, a really good movie for, like, those podcasts where, like, pretty much they watch the movie and then they pause it after something great, but it would be 12 hours long.
Yeah, right.
Because, yeah, if kind of our format, like, it pretty much all we would do is just talk about how great that scene was and that scene, which is it. I would love to do, but I'm sure
But there's 3 hours of scenes.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not super entertaining for people who can't see it. So
overall,
good,
best orange goes to Blade Runner 2049.
best orange. of
Also
all
best
time.
blue.
Best blue. Yep. We'll
And
give
best
it to him.
Ryan Gosling.
Definitely.
He gets that for everything he does.
Also, freaking awesome when they're running for Decker's car and Decker slams the door behind him and Ryan Gosling just
Oh my
punches
gosh.
through the wall.
Busts through the wall.
It's pretty freaking great.
But he gets knocked out a lot. in this movie. And
He's
he
not.
always
He's not invincible. I think he was just like worked up.
Yeah, it's just funny because like he gets knocked out a lot, and it like always takes him a little bit to like wake up, but then he just runs through a wall.
Well, he only really gets knocked out when his car crashes, right? Or when he gets stabbed a few times,
like 4 times. Yeah.
Freaking love killing Joy like that. What a killjoy.
Boo.
All right, Sid, what kind of trivia do we have here?
All right. We got some trivia. So David Bowie was Denis Villeneuve's first choice for Wallace.
Then he had to go and die.
Sorry. Is that
Are you apologizing for David Bowie's death?
kind of? I don't know. You seem really worked up, so I felt like someone had to apologize. So
I'd like David Bowie's cancer to apologize to me.
we like listen back on the podcast, and like, you know how like when you record stuff you could pick up on stuff you didn't hear, and you just hear sorry.
Is that the voice you imagine David Bowie's cancer having?
No, that was David Bowie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, do we know what kind of cancer it was?
I don't know.
Because I was gonna say if it was like lung cancer, you'd be like sorry. Anyway, R.I.P. David Bowie. We miss you, bud. The opening scene with Sapper Morton was an exact remake of a scene that was written for Blade Runner but never used. Jared Leto wore opaque contact lenses so he couldn't see anything.
Dude, he would. Jared Leto's such a prick, but I like him.
Yeah, it's kind of true. Oh yeah, so the baseline test, it's also like an acting technique called dropping in, which induce a trance-like hypnotic effect. So I don't really understand it, but it was cool. Jared Leto used Silicon Valley tech investors and inventors that he personally knew to like model the character of Wallace after. Jared Leto shot all of his scenes in under 2 weeks. I mean, he's not in it for very long.
Yeah, he only has a handful.
But still.
His freaking speech, I gotta say, when Love comes to him and is like, let's go meet the new model, and he gives his speech about making good angels and how if they had enough angels they could storm Eden and take it back. Such a freaking good speech.
Yeah.
Just an evil villain speech. It's so good.
Yeah. But like also I was thinking when you said earlier, like he is like the villain, but he doesn't feel like it. I mean, like, because Love is like kind of like the extension of him.
Well, because the villain of this film is an idea.
Yeah.
The idea that Kay has no soul and his purpose, and by right he is subservient to humans. And Wallace is the perpetrator of that idea.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Because, like, we don't even know what happens to Wallace. Like, they just leave and we don't see him again.
Yeah. Also, Jared Leto worked with the organization Junior Blind of America. So, his techniques are not my favorite, but his performances are. So.
Jared Leto is like, he heard about method actors and he's like, ooh, I sure would like to be a method actor. But he's like a
wannabe method.
He's like a telephone method actor. Like somebody like Daniel Day-Lewis was the start of the telephone, and he like described method acting to somebody, and then they whispered it in somebody's ear, and then they whispered it in somebody's ear, and then it got to Jared Leto, and he's like, I'm a method actor now too.
Okay, so when they first show Rachel coming in like towards the end, I was like, there's no way that they actually got her, but it's actually her, the Sean Young. She was the original Rachel, and so they acted it all out. It took them a year to totally just like make that scene and make her look young.
Wow.
Yeah, her appearance was changed to computer generated visual effects. The voice was a sound double. Yeah, and it was so good. And let's see. Oh yeah, Denis Villeneuve gave them a lot of time to do it, so it wouldn't be like a Carrie Fisher in Rogue One deal. So yeah, I actually just watched I think I've talked about it before, where they're like special effects animators who like talk about.
I just found that channel the other
It's
day.
good.
Yeah, it's really good.
But yeah, they talked about like kind of recreating or like making a character young again, and it's, you know, watching it, I'm like, oh, that's actually really bad. Like when you look at it, you're like, yeah, that looks weird, but then you watch them explain it, and you're like, that's really bad.
Yeah.
While shooting a scene, Harrison Ford accidentally punched Ryan Gosling in the face, and then they shared a bottle of whiskey. So
about what it looks like in the movie.
yeah, pretty much. So like for the threesome scene, there was like no green screen. They pretty much just like mapped it out, and like they filmed it twice. Each actress would do the choreography and doing it, and then they just like layered it over. And I still can't get over that scene. It was so good.
It's so
Jeez.
mind-blowingly good.
Cause like they look like just somewhat similar. They're like their faces are blending, and like their hands look similar, so like you can't quite tell who's who. But it's, oh my gosh, so good.
Oh, one more thing about the colors. Joy's clothes even reflect that at times, because if you notice when they go up on the roof for the first time, she changes into a blue dress, because it's like advancing the idea of her humanity, right? And then towards the middle of the film and before she dies, she's wearing a see-through orange jacket. So even her clothes. And during it's less vibrant, but during the sex scene, she's wearing like an orange tinged dress.
Yeah.
And again, that's the beginning of Kay's disconnect with her.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Orange and blue, people.
Orange, blue, blessed, best orange and blue.
Best orange, best blue.
Yeah. So on the horse, I didn't notice it, but apparently there's like a little spot where a unicorn horn would have been.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So in the Bible, Rachel gave birth to Joseph, who was sold into slavery and later became an important patriarch of Israel.
Joe.
Huh.
And then at the orphanage, only the girls have long hair and all the boys have shaved hair, which makes
and in
sense
the flashback,
retrospect.
she has long hair. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all like the little figurines that they show in Decker's house. The first letter of all of them, rhino, antelope, cat, horse, elephant, lion, spell out Rachel. So yeah. And that is everything I have for you.
That's some trivia for you.
That's some trivia.
All right, folks, let's do the deed. Let's make me sad. Final thoughts and ratings out of 10.
I don't think it'll make you sad.
All right, we'll find out.
Okay. So, I don't know that I have a ton more to say about this movie that I haven't already said. I really don't think that there's a scene that we could take out, like Sid mentioned. Like, everything there is perfectly placed, and I don't think there's anything I could do about it. It just is long and feels long, and that's something that I think I have to get over if I'm going to really like it. But I do think it's an amazing film, and everything we talked about, like, it's just incredible. So I think I'm going to give it a 9.3.
That's fine.
Yes.
So I think while we've watched two of Andrew's favorite movies, Tree of Life and Blade Runner 2049, I think it's a bit of a disservice to Andrew because I haven't felt great while we watched both of them. Because yeah, I remember watching Tree of Life. I loved it, but I just couldn't get into it.
I mean, it's still our highest rated movie, though. So.
Yeah, because it's great. But yeah, even though like I wasn't feeling so hot through most of it, I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm gonna need a little bit of time to recuperate, but
well, I do have 2 copies, so you're welcome to borrow one of them.
Yeah, like I'm really excited to watch it again and pay more attention to the theme and like the colors and we didn't give enough credit, but Roger Deakins he's the love of my life.
We didn't give enough credit after gushing over him for.
But yeah, you can never give him enough credit.
That's fair.
But yeah, just like the whole like feeling of the movie and everything that they put out there and just like the twist, it's honestly, yeah, it's one of the best sci-fis I've ever seen. And I'm going to give this a 9.5.
A wowzee.
Wow.
All right. Well then. I think that this is just indicative of the fact that I choose the pool of movies from which we pick. That we end up doing movies that I like a lot. I need to have you guys start like introducing groups that I choose from rather than the other way around. Yeah, I mean, what else am I going to say? For me, it's a 10.
No
Whoa.
surprise there.
No
Who would have
surprise there.
thought that?
Who'd have thunk? And this is what I mean when I say this, that this is the 5th movie that I've given a 10 to that we've done.
Wait, okay, so which ones did you give it to? Tree of Life?
All of the top 4.
Okay.
So Tree of Life, Dancer in the Dark, Black Swan, and There Will Be Blood.
Oh.
You didn't give Dancer in the Dark a 10?
I gave it a 9.9.
Oh, okay.
So did I, but I think it's probably a 10. And I gave Tree of Life a 10.
I just actually need
too.
Dancer in the Dark to be released in the United States so I can purchase it and watch it again, even though it's really sad. So what do we have? A 9.3, a 9.5, and a 10?
Maybe like a 9.6 or 9.7.
9.6 it is. That puts it right on there with Dancer in the Dark and Black Swan.
But he's going to put it at the top of those three.
I also, the audience doesn't see this, but I also moved the list around so that the New World sits above Django Unchained, even though they're both 9.4. Because I need to watch the New World again, but that's another one that I can't get out of my head. And I don't remember what I gave it, but it might be a 10. Terrence Malick is just the dude.
We love him.
Love him. All right, folks, that will conclude our discussion of a Blade Runner 2049. We're going to get into some other topics now. If this is where you leave us, we understand. We love you. Again, get in touch with us at contact@wewatchmovie or at wewatchpodcast.com. Instagram at wewatchpodcast, facebook.com/wewatchpodcast. So now we're going to get into some other topics. We're going to talk about other things that we have been watching, as well as to remind you that 2 weeks until Midsummer comes out.
Woo!
We're almost there.
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
I am so excited. I seriously I cannot wait. And Jordan Peele saw it and he said it was great,
He said it was messed up,
which
which means it's great.
I'm in for this. Let's go, folks.
Becca's
And
face.
I
right
didn't
now.
realize this. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood comes out the end of July.
Ooh.
I didn't realize it was that soon. We saw a trailer for It Chapter 2.
Oh my gosh.
That actually looks pretty good.
I didn't talk about it when it first came out, but I've been thinking about it for weeks. And I'm so excited.
The trailer for it's really good. The first half of the trailer is really good.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about Dr. Sleep?
Oh, yeah.
They came out with the trailer this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I watched it, and like, I mean, I haven't seen The Shining yet, so I can't really draw comparisons, but like, it doesn't look like it's gonna be the same tone. It's the same guy who did Haunting of Hill House. So
That gives me a little bit of faith.
Yeah.
I don't see The Shining as something that needs a sequel. And I understand there's a sequel to there's a book sequel,
Yeah.
right?
And
About Danny.
I kind of like figured just like from the trailer and like what's it about? Like, it's not like a continuation of the story from The Shining. It's just Danny.
It's just about Danny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about The Shining then.
Yeah.
It's not about the movie The Shining. It's
Yeah.
about The Shining.
Yeah.
Which is the name that the caretaker gives to the psychic abilities that Danny has.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm watching The Shining tomorrow. I'll report back next week.
I've
never seen it.
You've never seen The
No,
Shining?
I actually saw my very first Stanley Kubrick today.
Who did you watch?
I watched Doctor Strangelove, and it was great. I feel like it was a very good introduction into Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, it's probably his most tame.
Yeah, I've like seen like it's like on TV all the time, and I've like
Mhm.
seen clips, but it was like before I was not cool and I was a good person. I was like, there's a naked lady on this. I can't watch this.
On
In The Shining.
Oh.
So then I was like, I can't watch this.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
Doctor Strangelove though is outstanding.
It was so good. Like it took me like a little while to get into it, but like once it like really
You have to get on board with the tone.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, there were just like so many subtle things that they were so funny. Like honestly, one of my favorite parts is when they're like opening, the guys on the plane are opening all the their envelopes.
Oh yeah.
And the guy just like has a letter opener. And
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know why. It was just so funny.
Well, there's just there's so many small things that are just
Yeah.
hilarious. And like
Yeah.
there's your standard lines like, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. And like, but still my favorite line is, we cannot allow a mine shaft gap.
And just like when Doctor Strangelove, he's just like fighting his
Yeah.
arm and it's like choking him. Oh my gosh.
Minefield. I can walk.
And it just ends.
Yeah.
there.
It's just brilliant. If you guys haven't seen Doctor Strangelove, read the Wikipedia article on the Cold War and then go watch Doctor Strangelove. Because it's much, much funnier if you have at least a cursory knowledge of Cold War politics. And like the freaking Russian premier is just partying the entire time. Like, no, Dmitri, that's not what I said.
Well, yes, Dimitri, I like talking to you. Well, I'm having a very hard time too. Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
So
And freaking the guy riding the nuke down,
Oh my
like
gosh.
it's just a classic shot.
It really is.
Doctor Strangelove is so freaking good.
Yeah.
Kubrick is one of those that like if you're like into film and you haven't seen any Kubrick films for some reason, like he's one of those that lives up to the hype.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been disappointed by any Kubrick that I've seen. Having said that, I would recommend probably starting with Doctor Strangelove, just because it's the most accessible.
Yeah, I think it was a good entrance point for me.
Some of his other stuff gets a little bit more abstract.
I think you're going to want to start out with Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
That's the best one that you can just jump right in.
Hey, who hasn't wanted to go to an orgy with Tom Cruise? Can you imagine an orgy with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman in the 90s?
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad time.
Recommendation for that. Start with Doctor Strangelove and then probably The Shining. And then either Barry Lyndon or 2001. And then from there, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
Actually, after that, probably... maybe Full Metal Jacket before 2001. Then A Clockwork Orange. Then Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. Sounds like a good progression.
If you want to, like, get introduced to the wacky and then, like, slowly work yourself in. A Clockwork Orange is a tough one. That's
Really?
a tough one to get through. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I hear it's a rough one, but I still really want to watch it.
It's outstanding.
Yeah, my dad walked by when I was like on Netflix and he saw it was on my watch list and he's like, "Don't watch that. That's not a movie you want to watch." And I was like, "Then it just means I really want to watch it."
It's so good, but it's rough.
Yeah.
For sure.
Have you seen all of his films?
Not all of them,
Okay.
but I'm working my way through it.
Nice.
I have the Stanley Kubrick collection from Amazon. It was $35.
Duels.
And I didn't include in there, I guess just like do whatever you want with like Lolita and Spartacus and The Killing, that kind of stuff. Paths of Glory. Do whatever you want with those. My Kubrick knowledge really starts at, I think 2001 came out first out of all of those. Because that was 68. Maybe Dr. Strangelove came before that. I don't know. In any case, Kubrick is a genius, and we miss him greatly. And what a bang to go out on. No pun intended. With Eyes Wide Shut. What a crazy movie. But I'm proud of you for watching Kubrick.
Thank you.
And what else? What else have you been watching?
This has been a week of Ryan Gosling. I watched Drive.
Ooh, finally.
Yay.
After we didn't watch it the
Yeah.
50 times that we planned to.
I loved every second of it.
It's so freaking good.
Oh my gosh. Like there are some times where for whatever reason, I just like don't totally remember how beautiful Ryan Gosling is and how amazing of an actor he is, and then it hits me and I get the wind knocked out of me, and that's what happened.
Did you read the trivia on Drive? I just think I freaking love, my favorite piece of trivia about that movie is that Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams basically just like mutually decided to only say half their lines.
Yeah, they're just like, I don't think we should talk.
Like, instead of talking right now, we're just gonna kind of stare at each other.
Yeah. Which was amazing.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
But just like, oh my gosh, he's so cool in that, and the music is incredible, and
that like Real Human Being song.
I like
So
immediately like went for a drive and listened to that.
Yep.
Like, because I can never drive to anything else now. It's only this.
I don't know, and I love the opening scene of that movie. It just sets the tone. Like, this is not a car chase movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
That was really good. And then I rewatched Swiss Army Man.
Good choice.
I love that movie. Super good. I forgot how weird it is, but I was just laughing.
That's how I am. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, this is a weird movie.
Like, I'm like, oh yeah, this movie's weird. And then I watch it and I'm like, I do not remember this weirdness.
And then you go back and watch the music video for Turn Down for What? And you're like, they gave these guys money for a movie?
Yeah. But then also at the same time, you're kind of like, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, that movie's great. And the music in it is great. Great study music.
I listen to it every time I have to do homework.
The music,
so good.
For anybody who didn't know, is done by the frontman of Manchester Orchestra.
Andy Hull.
Yeah, so if you enjoy the music from Swiss Army Man, specifically his voice, I would recommend Manchester Orchestra's first two albums, I'm Like a Virgin Losing a Child and Mean Everything to Nothing, as well as Black Miles to the Surface. Those are my three favorite Manchester Orchestra albums, and they are all worth your time.
Yeah, it's great. And then I watched Chernobyl.
Yay!
The whole thing?
Yeah. And it was so good.
It's so good.
Like, I didn't expect it to be that good.
It's so good.
Yeah, like, it's terrifying. I was talking to Becca about it earlier, and like the first 2 episodes are just like, they're horrifying to watch. Because like, I feel like anything that I knew about Chernobyl, I like felt very divided from it, because obviously I wasn't born and I wasn't there. But like, it doesn't feel like, everything I heard about it didn't feel like this huge disaster. But like, watching it, it was, and like seeing like the effect of all of it, it was horrible. But just like the whole show and the acting was fantastic, except for the scenes where they have to kill dogs.
The acting was phenomenal.
So hard. I couldn't watch that.
Also, can we just have Barry Keoghan be in like everything? I love him to death.
Is he the...
He's the kid.
Yeah, he's big fan of him. Anyway, that's all I watched. So it's been a good week.
Well, that's not so bad. This just reminded me, I hadn't checked it a couple days. The Blu-ray for Chernobyl is now listed on Amazon. So pre-order that.
Sweet.
Because I want that on the shelf. Even though we're running out of space on the shelf.
Yes.
In any case, Becca, what did we watch?
We watched Gravity. You mentioned it earlier.
We did watch Gravity. What did you think of Gravity?
It was so good. That was the first time I'd seen it, and I thought it was amazing. I'm glad we watched it.
I forgot how good it was.
Alfonso doesn't disappoint ever.
Dude, that was one of those, and I even said it out loud a few times during the movie. I was like, this is a film that somebody made. Like, Gravity was once a piece of paper, and he turned it into that.
Oh,
I'm like,
so good.
And then I'm like, think about that fact, and then tell me that anybody else deserved Best Director for that year, because it's not even close. There's no contest for who deserved Best Director that year.
No way.
I didn't realize this. I looked it up. It won 7 Oscars.
Wow.
Yeah. It won, I'll see if I can remember them. It got visual effects, cinematography, directing, score, and both sound ones.
Well deserved.
Yeah. We finished up True Detective season 3.
Oh yeah, we did.
Which was good.
It was good.
Not as good as the first one. And we've been watching Westworld.
Very good. I think that's kind of why I wanted to watch Blade Runner 2049 today, honestly.
That's fair.
It's very good so far.
And then we watched Alien Covenant.
Oh yeah,
which was so good.
It was really good.
okay. So that's the newer one.
That's the
with,
newest
James
one.
Franco. Okay,
Kind of.
kind of, for a little bit,
He's
and then he just like,
he's in it for like 90 seconds. Yeah.
yeah.
But Becca and I are planning on doing, because we've been watching through all of these. Once we watch Alien 3, which is the last one we're going to watch because we were told not to watch Resurrection. We're going to do like a mini-sode with the two of us kind of going over the rest of the Alien franchise because we've been watching these all together, and we maybe did Alien a little bit of a disservice on our episode.
Yes.
Because watching the other ones, I guess if you've seen them all, you're more than welcome to join us for our mini-sode.
I've only seen the first two Aliens. Well, and Prometheus and Covenant.
So all of them.
Seen all the ones we've seen.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about it because the philosophy specifically of Prometheus and Covenant, I feel like, are really interesting counterpoints to the philosophy of Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we'll be coming at you with that. We probably won't do like a full episode on it, but we'll do like a half hour, 40-minute kind of thing, just talking about the rest of the Alien franchise.
Yeah.
Did we talk about... No, because we saw Godzilla after Moonrise Kingdom.
We went and saw.
We went and saw Godzilla.
What'd you think?
It was fun.
Yeah, that's
Like-
really like all you can say about it. Like the storyline is pretty bleh.
We wanted more monsters, or like
Yeah,
more.
I just wanted monster
screen
fights.
time with
Yeah.
monsters.
Every single time there was a human being on the scene, I was like, I just want you to be eaten by a monster right now.
Yeah.
With the single exception of, I just lost his name. The Asian guy. What is his name?
I don't know. But isn't it sad that the only one who actually gets eaten is Sally Hawkins?
Yeah, right?
I
That
know.
was,
like right in the
ridiculous.
beginning.
And I think she probably just had like another engagement come up. She's like, just have the monster eat
Yeah.
me.
Ken
Watanabe.
Watanabe.
Yeah. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking trudging through the radiation to go nuke Godzilla to bring him back to
was
life.
pretty cool.
Freaking dopest thing. They literally they're like, guys, Godzilla's in the crock pot right now, and he's kind of recharging, and they're like, just stick him in the microwave. Like, that's literally what they did. And it worked. And then when he's walking through the downtown, just like pulsing out nukes. Oh, it's so great. And then still none of the annoying people die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I wanted all of them to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the mom might have died, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, she's dead.
Died.
Unless she comes
She
back as a
stayed.
monster.
This is how I describe Godzilla King of the Monsters, right? So they had 2 writers' rooms. And during the course of writing this movie, the 2 writers' rooms did not talk to each other at all, right? In the one room, they said, hey, you guys are in charge of writing the next Godzilla movie. And then they just took like a 50-pound bag of cocaine and dropped it on the table. And we're like, go ham, guys, write me a movie. And so they did. And then they went to another room. And they're like, hey, here is a bottomless supply of LaCroix. Write me a family drama. And they're like, done. You got it. We'll write you the blandest, most boring, flavorless family drama in the world. And then the producers came together with these 2 scripts that the 2 groups of writers had given them. And they said, okay, 1 page of cocaine, 1 page of LaCroix. 1 page of cocaine, 1 page of LaCroix. Because that movie was just a roller coaster of excitement. In that, like, I was really excited and then I fell asleep.
Yeah.
He literally fell asleep.
So,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
But it's, it's fun as long as you skip to the fun parts.
Hey, you can Redbox it or
Yeah.
$5 Tuesday it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. And I think that's all that we've been watching, right?
I mean, I went and saw The Secret Life of Pets 2.
Oh, that's right. And Dark
Oh.
Phoenix.
And Dark Phoenix. I never saw the first Secret Life of Pets.
It's not that good.
No. Neither is the second one. Dark Phoenix was actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, just an X-Men movie, but it's good.
The Apocalypse just left such a bad taste in my mouth.
X-Men has always been like 50-50.
First Class is amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Those ones are
First
good.
Class and Days of Future Past are both
Yeah,
amazing.
those ones are really good.
I've always liked them. It's just been like I don't know, just like a superhero movie that
Mhm.
I enjoy, but like
Yeah,
that's all it is for me.
that's fair.
And that's what this one was too. But it was good. Like, it was cool, and like Jean's powers were really, really cool, and there were some cool fight scenes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not bad.
Awesome.
Right.
I think that does it for us, yeah?
Yeah.
Midsummer comes out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We'll be hitting you guys up with that. And that's it.
Yeah.
You want to get in contact with us, once again, contact@wewatchpodcast.com. You can email us there. Facebook.com/wewatchpodcast. You can message us there. Instagram @movieswewatch. Make sure you tell your mom about the podcast. We'd love to have her listen and write in. We'd love to hear from all of our mom listeners out there.
Dads too. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. We love you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And we hope you have a great day. I'm Andrew.
I'm Becca.
I'm Sid.
Take it easy.